Putting the spotlight on small businesses across America. This is Inside Business with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
You're listening to Inside Business, sponsored by Berry Law and Complete Family Dermatology. I'm Gary Tharnish with Home Design Real Estate Group, and filling in for Travis today is former radio talk show host and owner of James Arthur Vineyards, Jim Ballard. Jim, thanks for coming in today. How are you doing?
Always a pleasure. Doing well, thanks.
Good. Nothing to whine about.
I see what you did there. That was very good. Nothing to whine about today, Gary.
I know. It's just going to go downhill from here, just so you know, if it starts that way. That's great. Today, our guest is Dean Phelps, owner of 626 Auto. So not 66 Auto, but 626 Auto. Dean, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Great to be here.
Good. I have not seen you in a while. You're looking good.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, keeping busy.
I am.
Good deal. Let's just start off right off the bat with, where is your business located?
We are at 2405 P Street.
Okay.
Just one block north of O on 24th.
Yeah, so that's handy. Yeah, downtown people love that.
Sure.
It'd be perfect for that. Dean, how'd you get into the industry of auto repair?
My car broke a lot. And my dad thought I really needed to be able to learn to at least fix my own car, because he would give me loans to be able to fix my car.
Nice.
I got to pay him back on those, but he thought, you need a little direction, and you should know how to fix your own car so that you could get yourself out of a jam if you needed. So that was the shove or the push or the.
That's how it got started.
That's how it got started.
So when he said, Dean, you need to fix your own car, did you say, I might as well make this a career?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And you didn't have YouTube video back then to show you how to do anything.
No,
Not that would work for me at this stage anyway. But so was your dad an auto mechanic? I mean, did he
No.
or just did you grow up on a farm? Maybe farmers' kids always know.
No, city kid.
Neither.
And dad didn't. I think my dad was really probably thinking about himself and, maybe the kid could fix my car. And,
Maybe I could save some money. Let's have him fix our
right.
cars. There you go.
I like your dad already. This is great.
Good guy.
So you enjoy it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Great.
There again, I needed some direction and which way to go and what to do out of high school. And, I knew that I wasn't going to be going to college, but, getting into a trade school and learning how to do something that's super handy for a lot of things.
Yeah.
What I find is, and my mind doesn't work that way, mechanical, but is that something you just intrinsically always had, that ability to be mechanical, to fix things, or was there a learning curve that was involved?
Oh, there was a big learning curve. Yeah. I wouldn't have said that I was mechanically inclined to begin with. So it was all new. I mean, It was, hey, I'm interested in computers or whatever. I wasn't necessarily interested in cars. I liked looking at, hot rod magazines and stuff like that, but I didn't have an uncle or brothers, or my dad wasn't into cars, fixing them. So that would have really helped out, especially the number of friends that I have that had all those things.
Sure.
It certainly gives you a head start on it. But
no kidding.
I did pick up a lot of things and be around some smart people that knew a lot more than I did, and they certainly helped me along the way.
Oh, right. There's a key to success in
Oh,
anything
yeah.
in life, right? Surround yourself with people that know what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah, good deal. So did you go to trade school then?
I did. I started out at Lincoln campus in Automotive, went there for 2 quarters. And then, like the other thing is I need to really do things and have real experience in doing things. So Milford had offered Milford Southeast Community College offered it was an internship with a General Motors dealership. So I went to school for a quarter, and then I went to a sponsoring dealership, and my dealership was I gotten into the program a little late, so all the Lincoln dealerships were taken. So I ended up going up to John Craft Chevrolet in Omaha.
Okay.
For my internship. So I worked there for a quarter, and you made some money along the way. And I think I got out of school for under $1,000 in loans, in school loans.
Sure.
And that was in, I finished up in the fall of 1989. But that was a great experience because you understood how a shop works or how it all functions.
Right.
And you're around other mechanics that have been doing it probably for years. There again, it's surrounding yourself with people that are gracious enough to show you the ropes. And you can go to school and you'll learn a lot. But if you didn't have that understanding on how a shop works, how the ins and outs works, you're kind of thrown to the wolves. So that was a great experience, and that's certainly something that I needed was that in hands-on training.
Yeah, which is so important. I remember in the industry I was in previously, the floral industry, I did an awful lot of work in there, and I spoke at, all across the country at different things. But it'd be interesting when you would see the my peers that would come up and they'd be like, we always thought it would be fun to open a flower shop. So we opened one and now we're sinking, and it's like, did you ever work at one? No. And what do you think? Well, it's a lot more work than I thought. It always pays to do that, to work somewhere in the career you're thinking about.
I think you hit the nail on the head, going to the trade school where you actually are hands-on and there's some practical applications. Right. I tell a lot of young people now, go through those trade schools or through those 2-year programs and get that practical experience. And you can always go on to a 4-year college or whatever, but especially if you have an interest in that, it's great training. And like I said, practical experience is always the best.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to go back just a hair.
Sure, go back.
Because you said something interesting, and most of the guys I know that are mechanically, love to fix their cars, are huge car guys.
Right.
I find this fascinating, and Gary, you can chime in. What was your first car? What was that car you had to work on that was always breaking down?
Well, my first car was a 1965 Volkswagen Beetle.
Awesome. Yes. Awesome. I love it. Oh my God.
Awesome.
And I was a fan of all the Volkswagen things. I love the VW buses, and me and one of my friends would go out to North 56th Street, and there was this import auto salvage or something, but it probably had about 6 blocks worth of just Volkswagens that were in the salvage yard. And we go, oh man, that would be cool. Oh, here's an old bus. And
I know right what you're talking about.
That's awesome.
Love that place.
That was my first car, and it was pretty simple because that's what the beautiful thing about a Volkswagen Beetle back then was. The car that broke all the time was my 79 Monte Carlo. So that was my second car a few years later. But
there you go.
I learned how to drive a stick shift. That's something, my dad had to drive it home because I didn't know how. I didn't have a license either. Or I had my permit. I was 15. But I learned how to do the clutch up and down my driveway.
Nice. Nice. Worst time I had on a clutch is San Francisco on hills with the clutch, and I'm like, oh god, this is not going to be good in a car I was not experienced to drive. It's surprising how many people cannot drive a stick.
It's a lost art. My dad made me learn on a stick. He said, if you can drive you can drive anything if you know how to shift and what you're doing there. So,
we have a Subaru WRX, which is shift, and if we go someplace where they have valet parking, it's like they're looking at each other like, where's Bob? Oh, he's parking a car. Oh, well, okay, we have to wait a minute. We've got to wait for Bob. He's the only one that can drive. There's always just like one person that can drive a stick, and it's always everybody should know how. Everyone should learn that for sure. So VWs are great for repair though, right? Those bugs, they were pretty basic. I mean, in a good way. I know I have two brother-in-laws who are very, very much into the Volkswagens big time. And that's one thing they always loved about it, is that it's just a pretty straightforward car compared to today with all the computers and everything else that goes along with the car. It's absolutely crazy.
That Volkswagen was still 6 volts. So it wasn't even, a modern battery. I mean, it was.
I love it. So you're working up in Omaha in school, you get out of school, and then did you keep working in Omaha, or when did you decide to start your own place, and what did that look like?
I stayed for about a year in Omaha at the dealership. And at the dealership, I mean, you're going to start somewhere, and you get all the squeaks and rattles and that type of work. But I also needed that over the shoulder kind of thing. So I went to a small independent shop after that, Ray Donnelly, Ray's Auto Service. So
here in town.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you worked there for how long?
I was there for probably 2 years.
2 years. And then did you open your own business?
No, that was a number of years later. But I had worked at auto parts stores, and I was 39 before I opened up my business. So I worked for Napa Auto Parts, and I called on 50 shops in town. So I had an idea of who's who in Lincoln. And so that was interesting to be able to see the backside of businesses here in town. And one of my customers had enough one day and said, I'm looking to get out. So let's talk about it. And so that's how I ended up at 10th and M Street at a 2-bay gas station, Amoco gas station. Rich Lilia and Tom Gross had ran those businesses. So
I love it.
Here we are.
Well, listen, we're gonna start on the next segment. Stick with us because we'll take off from there. I want to hear a little bit more about how that all transpired and what happened. You're listening to Inside Business. I'm Gary Tharnish with Jim Ballard from James Arthur Vineyards today. We're talking with Dean Phelps of 6 to 6 Auto, and we'll have more right after this break.
Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
Hello, you're listening to Inside Business. My name's Gary Tharnish with Home Design Real Estate Group. Today, filling in for Travis as our good friend, Jim Ballard from James Arthur Vineyard. And this segment is sponsored by the Lincoln Airport. LNK is really taking off. See what I did there? And they've got some new airlines, Breeze Airlines, which has some great flights. We're getting American Airlines soon, which is crazy. And if you have not flown out of Lincoln, man, it's just beautiful out there. The way they've remodeled everything, it's just handy and nice, and it's just joyful flying out of Lincoln. So if you can save, say, $100 on a ticket, $125, fly out of Lincoln. Great for business in Lincoln and the economy. Also sponsored by Sartor Heyman Jewelers. Great place. I've bought rings there before and always been very satisfied. And today our guest is Dean Phelps of 6 to 6 Auto. And in the previous segment, we were talking a little bit about how you got started in your business, purchased it, so on and so forth. So you're working, and who is it that you were working for and then you bought their business?
I was working for Napa Auto Parts.
Oh, okay. You did not buy Napa Auto Parts, so I know that.
No, I did
okay.
not. But I called on 50 other auto repair shops in town.
Bingo.
As an outside salesperson. And Rich Lilia and Tom Gross owned the station down on 10th and M Street. So when I was talking to them one day, they were feeling kind of, my back hurts, this hurts and that hurts, and let me know. I'm interested. And
nice.
I had mechanical background. I've been a mechanic. I knew the parts end of it, and it was a good fit, I think.
For people listening, entrepreneurs, I get this question a lot. Now that I do this radio show. People think I know things about business. It's so funny. Anyway, I get this one a lot where they'll say, when you buy an existing business, do you have to get a loan for the whole thing? Do people finance some of it? I know in my situation, when I bought a pre-existing business, they did not want to finance anything. So I had to go and get my own loan. What was your scenario? Did they finance some?
Well, I didn't pay anything for it. I bought their inventory.
Okay.
And I rented their building. And, it was Rich and 2 other employees. And, I kept those on.
Nice.
And I had a mechanic that came with me. So, it wasn't a huge investment. In fact, there was virtually no investment, but I rented their building. It was as I guess the big push there is they'd said that, hey, you know what, we'll give it a couple of years and see how it goes for you, and we'll finance you for this building at that time, and then you don't have to go through I need 25% liquid money to put down on a property. And the location was fantastic. Because they were both one-way streets into the downtown business district, and I thought that I could certainly grow it from there.
And I'm guessing it. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I'm guessing it came with a customer base. I mean, that had to be part of the equation.
Somewhat.
Kind of. Or did you have to build your own customer base?
It did come with X amount. I look back on what we did in numbers at that time, and I kind of chuckle as far as, that's what we do in a few days instead of a whole month. And but good clientele that came with it. We still have a number of those folks still as customers now, 20 years later. And the location was the thing. I mean, here's the keys, I'll see you at 4.
Nice.
And so it was good.
So how'd you build those customers? Because you've got to go out there and probably attract new customers and build the business. What was your key, or what did you do to try to build that customer base?
Well, there again, you think that or I thought that I knew something about how to do it. I did not.
Yeah.
I had flyers that I handed out in the neighborhood, and talked with people. It was also a gas station at the time. So, I mean, I did, build that rapport with people that were buying gas, and I'd go out and pump it for them. But I look at that now and I think, wow, how long do you want to make it? How long do you want to take to grow your business that much more? And I think that is something that I find interesting is, some shop owners don't spend any money on marketing or digital ads. Or
Sure.
There again, it wasn't digitals back then. It was how big of an ad do you have in the phone book?
Exactly.
That was the big thing.
Yeah.
So it is certainly easier to attract people now.
Definitely.
And with the digital, and I think that's really the way to go, is to geofence or target an area with digital ads. You carry your phone around with you constantly, and or most people do, and being able to let them know that you're just around the corner and happy to help.
Interesting. So, one thing that we find often on this show, talking with business people, and then I see it a lot in the tradesmen, is at any point in your education, did you ever have any business classes?
There were some business classes that go along with it.
Okay.
I did not pick up on all that.
Okay.
But you're still probably 21 or 22 or something like
Sure.
that. And that's not on your radar. You're here to fix cars.
Yeah.
Not market to people.
So did a lot of that, it was trial and error. All of a sudden you're thrown into it. And that's how it was for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I had taken some business classes at UNL, And so I had a general idea, but every industry is certainly, specific when you get into it. But I certainly was not good at that. I mean, I felt like I was thrown in the fire sometimes. And we have a lot of entrepreneurs that have that same way. I always think if you're thinking of opening a business and you're already in that business, spend a lot of time, if you're working for someone, especially if you think you're going to buy that business, spend a lot of time on the business end of it, especially if it's a business that's a trade and requires a skill that you need, because that can just be really, really important. Did you find that to be a challenge, some of the business things?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It is
a rude awakening. And it took me a long time to figure out that, hey, you know what? I need help. I need a coach that all they do is automotive,
right.
Not
specific,
not just a general business coach. I needed somebody that understood
the business
mechanic talk,
the business.
Right.
Yeah. That's all very, very, very important. Well, we're going to head to a break. In the next segment, I want to get into 5 takeaways. That segment is a segment we have every week. And you're going to give us 5 takeaways that any entrepreneur listening or somebody thinking about business, auto mechanic, it can be, of course, in any business, something they can take away and learn. So you're listening to Inside Business. I'm Gary Tharnish with Jim Ballard today, and we're talking with Dean Phelps of 626 Auto. And we have more right after this break.
Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
Hey, we're back on Inside Business. I'm Gary Tharnish. Jim Ballard today is filling in for Travis, which is awesome. And we're talking with Dean Phelps of 626 Auto. This segment is sponsored by Mendoza Family Insurance. Great insurance family. Whole family's involved. Really great. If you need some insurance, give them a call. I guess we all need insurance, right? And I couldn't get it for a while. I was young because I'm just a terrible driver. I still am a bad driver. Anyway, that's a whole nother. We could do a show on that. That should be really funny. But this segment is 5 takeaways. This is where we get 5 things our listeners can apply to their business today. It's sponsored by Nebraska Farmers Network. So Dean, what's the first piece of knowledge you have now that you wish someone gave you the day you started or something like that? What's your first takeaway?
You need to know your numbers. You need to know and understand what you need to do to break even. How many days does it take to break even in the month? And you need to move instead of just think about things. You make that decision. It might be wrong. Might be right. But if you don't make a decision, you'll miss every time.
Yeah.
And then you need to be able to adapt and change quickly. So I think back at, when COVID was coming around and 30,000 people left the university, and that's, 10% of the population. And since I'm near downtown, a lot of my clients are university teachers and students and city, state, federal, county people. And when they don't go to work, I don't have anything to do. So needed to pivot quickly.
Yeah, and all those decisions come based on the numbers, right? On your P&L and what are we doing? And so knowing all of that is so important. And that process is missed a lot in businesses. I know it wasn't mine when I first started. I didn't focus on the numbers at all. I focused on all the fun stuff because I'm a sanguine and crazy, like we're orange color or whatever, depending on how your personality is tested. So you're good at looking at the numbers and you have to make decisions based on those. So one thing you said is pivoting. Right. It's very important, isn't it?
Yeah. And you need to look at those numbers daily and weekly, not just at the end of the month, because then it's all over.
Yeah.
You've already missed the trend or whatever's going on. Or a snowstorm shut you down for 4 days.
Sure.
Your same bills are going to be coming in no matter what. And some of them might even be higher.
I love it when you said adapt and change quickly. And I've always said when the world zigs, you've got to zag and you've got to make it work. Especially in your industry, and maybe we can get into this a little deeper after our 5 takes, but I think your industry has really changed and evolved over the years simply because of how cars are made now. I remember when I was a kid and younger, and we all had there was a mechanic at every single corner, and now you don't see that anymore. I remember even going in. I'm old enough to remember when you had to have an inspection to drive your car.
Right, I know. I always hated that. Yes,
But,
I remember it too.
But in your business, you've had to adapt from electric cars to still getting cars that are from the 70s and 80s. So
Right.
has that been a challenge?
Well, if you're not growing, if you're not learning, if you're not getting trained, you're getting dumber every day, because cars aren't going to get less complicated. They're going to get more complicated.
That could be your second takeaway right there, right? Adapt, change.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Keep learning so you don't get dumber every day. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's true.
It is a constant learning. And that's something that I get out of my coaching group is there's a Facebook thread. And I mean, you could spend an hour a day on just what everybody is thinking, or some situation has come up in their day, and being able to talk through those things with 40 other shop members in my small group, 1,400 shop members, or shop owners in the whole group. And that's I think is priceless. Is and they talk about that in the group, is surrounding yourself with people that are smarter than you are, that have been through it.
Yeah.
And I think about the first 10 years of in business, pretty much a nonprofit organization there. And but there again, I had to learn.
Right.
Some people go to college and get their degree, and then they get their master's or doctorate. I did not. I had that schooling as a business owner.
Well, and they still have to learn too, right?
Sure.
Doesn't matter what your education is. You fail up. You just make sure you're failing up, right? You're learning the lessons. And my dad would always say, it's not the mistakes you make in life that matter. It's what you do about them.
Right.
So mistakes are important actually in business, and it's not talked about ever. And at least when I was a business major at UNL, it wasn't talked about. Failure was really rarely talked about. Now that's back in the late 70s and early 80s. So things have changed, but failure is important, and you learn from it. Learning from it is probably the most important thing. So what's a third takeaway?
I think I think we're being around the right people, or hiring the right people
to surround yourself with. Sure.
Not only for my growth and my expansion, but understanding and employees understanding what I need from them.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm going to offer you too. I'm going to give you top wages in the industry here in town. I'm going to give you health insurance. I'm going to give you an IRA. I'm going to, provide training for you on a constant. I'm going to provide an environment. I wish I had air conditioning in my shop, which I do. That was a big expense. That was $100,000 to put air conditioning in my building. It's a big building.
Yeah.
But, having the right environment, having the right tools, having up-to-date equipment, having a clean shop, being able to, I need to provide them everything that they need to be successful, and they'll make me successful.
Yeah. If you care about so many times everybody thinks it is all just about money, and the money's important, right? I mean, we all have our bills to pay and everything, but really people love recognition, and that's held true for 50 years that I've been around and in business, that is so important, that their voice can be heard, that they feel like they're part of the culture. I think hiring people smarter than you is always really, really great, right? Because you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with the most. Right. So that's very important. I have some friends that are auto mechanics. It's interesting you say the air conditioning. That's a big deal for auto mechanics, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, summers are hot, man, and you're in there.
You want to have some bad attitudes. You're working underneath a hot car, or under the hood, or underneath the dash, or anything like that. And I'll say that none of my other shops had it, and I didn't have it for the first, probably first 10 years
Sure.
in this current building that we're in. But boy, I wish I would have done it day one, because the productivity after 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock in the morning, when the sun starts beating in,
Sure.
I mean, that is a huge help. And I just calculated out how many more hours would we be able to produce worth of work if we weren't sweaty.
To death. Yeah.
I don't like
sure.
to sweat, so
Well,
I love
you do
air
slow
conditioning.
down. I mean, you do slow down. It makes all the difference in the
Well,
world.
and you're worn out at the end of the day. I mean, you're already doing a physical job, and if you can provide an environment that's or even take 20 degrees out of the ambient temperature outside, makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good one. And again, that's showing showing the people you're working with that you care about that way is a huge thing. And also they're going to stick around longer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I have a friend that's auto mechanic that went someplace where they had air conditioning actually because they didn't where he was. And he'd get off where he's a younger guy. So he'd get off work and have to go to the kids' baseball games in 105-degree temperature after working and find himself almost falling asleep just out of sheer exhaustion from having to work. And that's not light work either. That's not just like sitting on the computer doing this or that. Car mechanic work is very physical job. Yeah, definitely.
It is. And what I've always found, and this is a great point, it's a great takeaway, is you hire people. And what we've always tried to do in our businesses is you treat them like family. And families don't always get along.
Right.
They don't always see things
Wait,
the same way.
Don't? What? They don't?
In a perfect world, right?
Right.
Yeah, I used to think my family was dysfunctional until I married into my wife's family. It's like, holy smokes, we're almost normal, I think. But no, your employees and the people, we never say people work for us. We always say people we work with.
Right.
And we try to treat them like family. And we also, the other thing, and I'm sure you did this as well, Dean, and I know Gary's done it, is, we never ask anything of anybody that we won't do ourselves.
Exactly.
And I think that's important as well. So
Right.
but yeah, finding people who can trust and give them the tools to do their job. And
I want to impress that, I was cleaning the toilet the other day. So
Sure. Yep.
But I don't do the physical mechanic work anymore. But there again, I want to provide the environment that they're probably not going to find many places. Most independent shops that I called on 20 years ago didn't have any of these things that I offered. And I thought of it as, man, if I was a mechanic now, or if I worked on cars all day long, I would want this and this and this.
Yeah.
And
so you knew what was needed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's always nice to work for somebody that came from the ground up in the business, right? Because you knew they knew what you were going through, and they would help that way. So what's a fourth takeaway? Something else that entrepreneurs listening or people thinking about opening up their own auto shop can take away.
Have enough liquid money.
Yeah.
Liquid money. That was something else that caught me flat-footed on the COVID thing. I have investments and I have money tied up, but it wasn't liquid.
Yeah.
So, when, like what I was saying, 30,000 people, and I'll say a good majority of my clientele at the time was not driving.
Yeah.
Was not coming into work.
Working from home.
They don't need anything because their cars don't break because they worked out of their house.
Exactly.
And I wish I would have had more liquid money to be able. I lost 3 of my employees at that time because I didn't have the liquid cash to be able to keep them on and just do stuff around the shop.
Yeah.
But that was a big change, and I didn't want to do those things, but I would also be in a world of hurt if I wouldn't have made that adjustment. So.
Yeah, we interviewed Tim Kirkpatrick a lot, and he is always really, really big on that. The importance of having something set back like that that's liquid that you can fall back on when you need it. And that's kind of hard to do, right? Because when times are really, really good, you're like, I'd rather just put this somewhere here or there. Or whatever. Yeah, that type of a thing. And that was a big thing in COVID, people being able to hang on to their employees as an owner, because you totally care about them. But man, if the money's not there, if you've already got 3 of your own paychecks stuck in the drawer because you're trying to get this through this hard time, it's hard to continue that as well.
Yeah. And I chuckle because I know all those things too.
Right. I know. Exactly. Certainly. Yeah. So liquid assets, number 4, cash that you can get your hands on when you need it. That's a really good takeaway. That's one of the first takeaways we've had that I've heard on this business show. Of all the takeaways, we've talked about it before, but not necessarily in that segment. But that's very important. And knowing what you would need, which can also catch you off guard, right? Who knew COVID was coming, right? I mean, I never even watched that movie, whatever it was, the one where it's like everybody can die from some bug or whatever. But now kind of wish I had been prepared for it. But so we're nearing the end of the segment. What's your 5th takeaway? Something else that can help entrepreneurs thinking of opening a business?
Having goals that you want to achieve, and what's the timeline, and what are you going to do to get there? So my coach talks about goal posters. What is that one thing in the middle? Are you really looking for this 1965 fastback Mustang, which is something that I really think that I would like to have? It's a toy though. I'm kind of I don't know, should I really spend 40 grand on a toy that I drive on the weekends?
Yes.
or 50 grand, or
yeah.
Or what is that? But what are the steps that I'm going to take to get to this point and to that point? And it's not just toys for me. I think toys are, hey, I'm going to get a new air conditioning machine for filling up a car, or a new piece of equipment. I think, I spend tons of money on equipment, and it never stops. I mean, there again, cars get smarter, and you've got this $8,000 scan tool to read the check engine lights on and see how it all works. And
that's how much that tool costs. Oh my Lord.
One. There's
That's
multiples.
Crazy. Of course, there can't just be one.
And then and then there again, you have to train your mechanics that are able to read that information.
Yeah.
Well, it could say this, but in reality, it could be a couple other things that could cause that.
That's amazing.
It never stops. I'll say that. There's always a new tool out.
Yeah. Well, we've got to take a break here, and on the other side of this, let's get back into goals just a little bit, because it's so important, everything that we do in life. 5 Takeaways was sponsored by Nebraska Farmers Network. We want to thank Nebraska Farmers Network for sponsoring the show. NFN exists to support Nebraska farmers and ranchers through education, advocacy, and connection. It's about strengthening agriculture in the communities that depend on it and keeping Nebraska farms Nebraska owned. To learn more, go to nebraskafarmersnetwork.com. You're listening to Inside Business. Gary Tharnish, Jim Ballard, talking with Dean Phelps of 626 Auto, and we'll be right back.
If you've ever signed the front of a paycheck, this show's for you. Inside Business with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
Thanks for sticking with us. I'm Gary Tharnish with Jim Ballard today. You're listening to Inside Business, sponsored by Western National Bank. Today, we're talking with Dean Phelps of 626 Auto, and it's time for Unexpected Impact. This segment talks a lot about in business. We all have those times where something happens, it's unexpected, and how you deal with it, and those sorts of things. So what is something in your business that was kind of an unexpected impact that you had to deal
with? I think about the cash for clunkers thing. That was kind of a huge thing in the industry. And it wasn't just it was really for people that don't buy new cars. It was great for the car manufacturers, because they sold all kinds of new cars. Like I looked that up, and it was 675,000 cars.
Yeah.
And that had to have been a great shot in the arm for the car industry. But for people that, need to buy a $2,000 or a $4,000 car, $5,000 car,
Yeah.
that cash for clunkers,
Was a
hurt a
nightmare.
lot of people that didn't have the money for a new car.
For listeners, just to explain cash for clunkers.
Cash for
real quick.
clunkers, you ended up, if you bought a new car and it meet the criteria, meaning it drank a lot of gas and and it probably didn't have any emissions on it. They wanted to clean up the air, and which I think is a good thing. But it took a lot of cars that off the road because they had to pour something in the engine and in the transmission so that they're never going to work again. And then, they junked a car.
Destroy it.
Yeah.
That is crazy. So, and there were a lot of unintended consequences from that.
And you got
Right.
like $4,000. And I mean, you could drag the thing in and you could get $4,000 for your old beater, but which a lot of people did. But that took a lot of clients off of the plate because we don't work on new cars.
Yeah.
I think the average age of a car now is 12 years old, which is great for mechanics because people want to hold on to that, their
Sure.
car. They want to maintain them. They don't want a $800 to or even a $600 car payment.
Yeah.
Or a $1,200 truck payment.
Yeah.
And if you could have a decent vehicle, the cash for clunkers, it good for the car makers, bad for everybody else.
When was that?
It was 2009. It was in the Obama administration.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of what they were trying to get to. I mean, having safer cars on the road, because we don't have inspections here and we don't have emissions here in Nebraska. Right. So, I mean, those are things that other shop owners around the country, that's a good chunk of their business is keeping things, when you go to get your license plates, can't have a check engine light on in your dash. It has to pass an emission standards.
Right.
We don't have that here in Nebraska. So, I mean, it probably did get rid of some of the cars that should have been taken off of the road.
Right. Yeah.
But, not everybody can afford
a payment like that.
A payment.
Yeah, definitely. I know. So in real estate, I was really shocked when I got into it and people would go talk to a mortgage broker to see what kind of a house they could afford. And their debt to income ratio was crazy. And it'd be like, well, they have 3 car payments and their car payments alone are over $2,300 a month,
right?
And they're 31 years old, I'm like, you should get a Dodge Coronet like I had for 25 years. I mean, the thing lasted forever, but that's interesting. So that was around 2009, 2010. In your estimation, how long did it take to kind of recover from that? I mean, I would think a while. You've got now all this, you have a market and a demand for all of these older cars, especially for 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are maybe getting their first car. Those cars are gone. Yeah. So now everybody's getting payments that quite possibly they can't afford when before they could have maybe got a $2,000 quote clunker, right. But it drove for a while. They maybe had a $600 repair here and there, but it was survivable. I mean, I would think that took quite a while to get over.
And, at the time I had one mechanic and a couple helpers, and we sold cars too in those years at the gas station. And, it really affected, I think back at how much we were selling certain cars for. I'm thinking, holy cow, that was 15, 16 years ago that we were selling those cars. And they're, so like a 2002 Ford pickup, 1-ton diesel, they sell for more now than what I was selling them for back then. And there again, all the prices were really skewed, but, it did. And there again, I wasn't at the scale of where I'm at now.
Sure.
So it didn't really affect me as much, but I'm sure that if I had been at a different spot in my growth of my business, it could have certainly made more of an impact than it did for me.
So all these cars are taken off the market, right? So people are I'm just not that. I remember that coming out, but I don't really know what developed from that. Did you see people coming in with newer cars that still needed repair, or how negative was it for your business? Was it 3 or 4 years before it kind of wore off? And how long did they do that program? If I remember, it didn't go on for a long time.
No, it was 7 weeks.
It was 7 weeks, and they went through how many cars?
675,000 cars were taken off the road
in 7 weeks.
Wow.
That was an unexpected impact for them as well, thinking that it probably wasn't going to be that much that quick.
Right.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But
the effect would have lasted a while.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cars that are now off the market.
That is.
When the demand is still there.
And like I said, I mean, we work on older cars.
Right.
We aren't going to work on a new car, or it's under warranty, or the dealership said, oh, well, we've got this maintenance plan, and, we'll just work that into your loan. We'll do all your oil changes for the first 2 years for free, which isn't free. I mean, you're paying for it one way or another, but
On that same vein, there's, like you said, cars are getting smarter. High tech.
You bet.
I think I mentioned earlier, there used to be, you could go to any corner and there'd be a shop. Is the evolution of these smarter cars, is that hurting traditional mechanic shops, or is it something, or is it just you have to adapt? And I know equipment, I've taken my truck into, we have a traditional mechanic, and sometimes he says, well, I don't have that equipment to check for what you need.
Yeah, that you'll become extinct if you don't continue your training, if you don't continue buying the equipment that you need to do it. And that is the key to continually be in business, because you're going to get left behind.
Piggybacking on that too, so you have to buy a new piece of equipment because we now have a computer and all this stuff in the car, right? Does that feed over into all the different makes and models, or do you need one for Subaru, one for Ford, one for Chevy? I mean, that also, I think, could be a huge thing. Like,
oh yeah, well, and being an independent, where we work on most everything, that is a huge undertaking. Where a dealer, they work on one line, one scan tool works for most.
Man, that's
we aren't there, but I mean, I'll say that if you work on diesel trucks, that's kind of a niche. If you work on European cars, that's another niche, and that comes with multiple skin tools and the right people to work on them.
Yeah.
And then everything else. So,
geez, that's a lot. Well, we're going to have to head to a break here. Loved this segment. I had not thought about that cash for clunkers. That was years ago. Now it's like, I remember, oh yeah, I remember that. But it's so short-lived in my mind, but for an auto mechanic, that was a long-lived thing. So we want to thank the UPS stores of Lincoln for sponsoring the show. For business owners, the UPS store is more than shipping. It also does printing, mailboxes, signs, brochures. Travis, I know, has used them for printing magazines. They do paper shredding. They can help with logistics that actually save you time. If you run a business, everything you need to run your business, you can get at the UPS store. They're truly a great local resource. 5 Lincoln locations, or go online to the upsstore.com. You're listening to Inside Business. Gary Tharnish, Jim Ballard. We're talking with Dean Phelps of 6 to 6 Auto, and we have more right after this break.
Fluff, no theory, just real business. This is Inside Business with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
Hey, we're back on Inside Business, sponsored by Integrated Behavioral Health Services, I guess. I never get this one right. I'm Gary Tharnish. Filling in for Travis today is Jim Ballard, and we're talking with Dean Phelps of 6 to 6 Auto. And it's time for This Needs an Adjustment, sponsored by Ascend Chiropractic. Business is all about constant adjustment. Nothing ever works 100% according to plan. And sometimes you need to make a big shift. So, Dean, tell us about something in your business that needed an adjustment, how you recognized that problem, and what you did to get things back in line.
I think I needed to figure out that I couldn't do everything. I needed to delegate. I needed to have the right people that had my back and Um, they know that I've got theirs.
Yeah.
And lots of people, and I still have that every once in a while where, here, let me do it.
I know.
I'll do it how I want it done. And, well, if you never teach anybody how to do things the way that you want it done, they'll never get done right.
So we've talked to hundreds of business owners on this show, and that is a common denominator through every, especially small business, through every small business. We all go through that. I mean, maybe you didn't, Jim, but I know I did.
You know what?
And
the thing I had to get over is nobody else can do this as good as I can do it.
That was me too.
And that was a huge, huge hurdle. And finally we get to a point where, man, I'm hating what I'm doing because I'm doing it all. And it was time to give some of that up and delegate and trust people. And they may still not do it as good as I can do it, but I've got to trust that they're going to get it done. I think that's something that we all go through, and we get our priorities sometimes a little out of whack too.
Well, yeah, you become 100% exhausted. There's no, I can say this because Travis isn't here, but there's no work to life balance at that point. He hates that. I call it more like I had to learn to be where my feet are. And what I mean by that is that when I was doing everything on my own and not delegating, I was never away from my business. So if I'm with my family, kids, friends, or whatever, I'm really not there because my mind's off on something else. And so you needed to make that adjustment. And I know both Jim and I had to make those adjustments. So when you made the adjustment, you're going to hire people, or if you already have people hired, you're going to put them more in a decision-making position and stuff like that. Did you find, for me, I had to look at it as, you know what, they're not going to do it 100% how I would do it. They're going to do it 80% how I would maybe, but that other 20% might be dynamite, something I didn't think about. How did it work for you as you went into this process of either letting people already work for you, do more, or hiring that right person? What did that look like, making that adjustment?
Well, it was a huge weight off me because I was at burnout. I mean, I was, it affected everything in my life.
Sure.
My attitude, my
mindset.
Oh man, my mindset was garbage. And I needed to trust the people that are working for me and are going to do a good job. And if I need, and there again, that's also an affirmation where I can tell my employees, hey man, I want you to do this part of the process, take this off my plate.
Yeah.
And they know that I'm trusting them to do a good job. And that's the big thing, is just making sure that they and I don't say it often enough of, enough good jobs for, attaboy. And
yeah. Well, Jim, did you earlier, maybe you were the one that said something like, your employees, in a sense, people are working with you, are like part of a family, right? So when you do that with an employer, somebody working for you, somebody that's on your team, you give them another layer of responsibility and then trust them to do that. It not only gives them more skin in the game, but they feel more like this is my place too, a little bit, like they're going to take care of a lot of other things they might not have thought of, because now they've got some pretty big skin in the game and they know you appreciate and trust.
It's got some ownership.
There you go.
As well. Yeah.
That's a word I wanted. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Yeah,
anytime.
There we go. Yeah, I'd be on the phone with you daily, my
bill's
friend.
in the mail. Bill's in the mail.
And I'm getting invoiced. Send me the bill. I love that. So that's great. So when did you kind of make that adjustment? Early on in your business, or 5 years ago, or after you hired a coach?
It was after a coach.
Was for me too.
And they really gave me the hope that, oh wow, it isn't just a nightmare all the time. It isn't just, spinning around constantly trying to do everything, and you can't do anything correctly if you can't focus on it. And I was trying to focus on a dozen things at once.
Yeah.
And that needed to be changed. But there was a hope, and with the networking with, so really I have 1,400 other coaches too, of members in my coaching group that I can call up whenever I want and say, hey man, I saw you post this message. Was wanting to chat with you about how you resolved it, and
how'd that work out?
Or how'd that work out? So,
did you implement something I can use? I mean, that is such a great thing, when you think about it. So if you're an entrepreneur out there and feeling like you're out in the ocean all by yourself, that's a good step. Think about hiring a coach, getting into a group or an association where you see other people in like-minded businesses, that can help you with some of those things you need to go through. But I mean, it's just like, so for this segment's called Need an Adjustment, right? So when our bodies are messed up, you can go to a chiropractor like Brian out at Ascend Chiropractic and get an adjustment. And in business, it's the same thing. You kind of think, well, where do I go to get an adjustment? A coach is a great place to start, or an association or something like that. So you've talked about a few times through the show. So basically, is this like a Facebook group, or you have a coach that also has directed you to this page? Or when you talk about you read something, what is that?
There is so my coaching group is Shop Fix Academy out of Nashville. And so we meet 4 times a year in Nashville typically. And there's probably, you have to break it up into about 500 shop members at a time, because they're growing really fast. But being able to have that resource is very important to me.
It's probably invaluable.
Oh yeah, and it's something that I really appreciate my especially with people in my small group. So
no, you guys hit the nail on the head. This is a great segment. It's sometimes as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you feel like you're on this island all by yourself, and you need to make those connections,
right? Whether
it's through a coach like you or through business organizations. So, but those are so important to make those connections. And I always said, if this was easy, everybody would do it. So
yeah, so true. Exactly. Right. And then when you need to make an adjustment too, you need to implement what you're thinking. That's where some of it gets lost in your implementation. But then again, you can set up a goal for that. We were talking about goals earlier. And one thing I wanted to mention on that I forgot, I'll mention real quick, and then we got to go to a break, is make sure your goals are realistic. Sometimes I see people will have a goal and I'm like, wow, that's top of the mountain goal. So what are the 5 goals to get there? Like, that's more of a huge thing, and you have to have those steps to get there. But implementation of these things that you get at yours is Shop Fix Auto?
Shop Fix Academy.
Shop Fix Academy. So you hear things, you still need to implement them. But we're going to head to a break here before our last segment. This break has been unexpected needs an adjustment. And this needs an adjustment has been sponsored by Ascend Chiropractic. You need an adjustment in your business and in your body. Do it before things get out of hand. Total chiropractic care for adults and pediatrics, rehabilitation, acupuncture, cupping, weight loss, the list goes on and on. To see their list of services or to schedule an appointment, go online to ascendchiropracticne.com. You're listening to Inside Business. Gary Tharnish, Jim Ballard. We're talking with Dean Phelps of 6 to 6 Auto, and we'll have more right after this break.
By business owners, for business owners. This is Inside Business with Travis Filing and Gary Tharnish.
It's the last segment of Inside Business, sponsored by Wyuka Funeral Home and Cemetery. Gary Tharnish, Jim Ballard, and we're talking with Dean Phelps of 6 to 6 Auto. In this last segment, we want to just talk to you about the future of independent repair shops. How do you see that?
I see it as a bright.
Nice.
It is bright.
Positive mindset.
I need my sunglasses. I need my transition lenses. It's so bright.
I love that.
Gotta wear shades.
Oh, why do you see it so bright?
There's just such a large need of repair. And we were talking about self-driving cars or EVs or electric vehicles, and those are all things that are going to be other markets that we're going to be able to get into, because we're going to be keeping up with the times and keeping up with things that need to be worked on at some point. So, and there again, there are a number of shops that will not keep up, and they'll say, well, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So
speaking of change, and we're talking about that and self-drivers, how is AI taking over? Is it part of your business?
not yet. Not for me. There again, I probably need to hire some even younger people.
Yeah.
To be able to have them translate it for me.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Dean. They're to take me into this kicking and scream. I know you're a big AI guy, but
well, I don't know. I don't know. The big AI guy, but I'm giving it a chance and working with it. I love it. My nephew works at Huddle, and he's been there almost since the onset of Huddle. One thing he taught me about AI is like I will use it for so I'm meeting with new clients tomorrow, so I put their data into my AI. I've put some houses they're interested in, the houses they're selling, all into AI. And, let me know about these people. And it, prints out, gives me a whole lot of information. And then I'm like, so be the devil's advocate. Tell me some things about all this wonderful stuff that I met, you know what I mean? I can use it. I do use it quite a bit, but, it's interesting. You'd have to be careful with it, but yeah, I like it. I use it. I don't have I pretty much just use Chat GPT, but I know there's like 24 there's so many other things you can do, but we've got people in my industry using it for videos and just doing all sorts of stuff, and I hate it, to be honest. Right. I look at some of these reels and I'm thinking, okay, I know President Obama would never like advertise this product, and his lips aren't quite moving right. That's a weird part of it, but
it's exciting but scary at the same time. And I'm sure in the auto industry, AI is going to start becoming more and more of a dominant. I can just see diagnosing what might be wrong, and AI could probably be a big part of that.
I remember watching an article or on TV, and this lady she didn't have enough money to fight this big legal battle, so she filled all of the information into one, and then she double checked it with another, and she presented her case. She wasn't an attorney, but she won.
I love that.
And but there again, it's only going to put out whatever it scans the internet and gleans for you.
Right.
So it could be garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
That's why you want to double check it with
something For else. Those of you listening that may create AI, here's the auto AI I want. I want an auto AI app that when I come into you, Dean, and you say, well, what sound is it making? I can go, here you go. Right, here you go. This is the sound. And we finally have an app that fixes that for you, right? I always hate that. It's kind of, it's like, and I can never do the sound right. Right. Yeah, I remember trying to record it once on my phone, and then I listen back and I go, all I hear is the other traffic. And I'm like, doesn't pick up the sound at all. So I'm putting it like closer to the wheel, hanging out my window. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get in an accident. And again, remember, I'm not a good driver, so this isn't surprising, but that would be a good one. We were talking about autonomous vehicles too. That's going to be more and more of that. And then you see it online. I suppose it's AI and possibly fake. I don't know, but where these vehicles are going to start floating off the ground a little bit. There's a lot coming down the road. And what people forget is that they're machines, and machines break down and they need to be maintained. So yeah, your future's bright.
Even the electric vehicles, even the Teslas and all those they still need maintenance. There is still a filter in there. There is still a fluid in some of the mechanisms that need to be changed on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So everything still runs on tires. So far.
Yeah.
As of today, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It'll eventually float, but probably a lot of us won't get into that possibly. So one thing I want to touch base on, it's our last segment. And before we let everybody know again where you are and your URL for finding you on the webpage and stuff like that. A lot of young people listen to this show that are interested in business or wondering what they might do with their life. So if somebody's thinking about being an auto mechanic, or that may be an option for them, what direction would you head them? Like, start trying to get a job, doing odds and ends of the mechanic, or trade schools. What's your take on that?
Even if you're cleaning up around, let's just say you're thinking about, hey, I'm interested in cars.
Yeah.
Just being around the setting of a shop, even if you're just cleaning things up or things like that, you're going to pick up things that you won't pick up in school necessarily. Sure. And you could be making as much as somebody with a PhD half the time. So
I agree with that statement.
You could, I've got employees that make, north of 100,000.
Yep.
And they have benefits and they have an IRA and health insurance, and they do have hustle.
Sure.
They're motivated to get things done. But, they start with me right out of school, or the one that I'm thinking of starts right out of school. Got them right out of trade school, and I would have had a half a dozen kids if I knew they were going to turn out like him. But
yeah, diamond in the rough.
He's a great guy, and he's been with me for 14 years. So those are the best people that you want.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly. And Travis's son just became an electrician, and he talks about this often. And my nephew is going into it at SCC to be an electrician. But the trades are the future millionaires.
Oh yeah,
for sure. And I see it all the time. I mean, we're hiring contractors all the times with homes and stuff, and it's harder and harder to find. And when you find a good one, you treat them right. You pay them the minute you get the invoice. You make sure you're keeping them, because the labor, the skilled labor is harder and harder to find, and it's just going to pay well all the time. And a lot of these too are never going to be replaced by AI.
Yeah.
And someone was telling me the other day, realtors will be replaced by AI. It'll be really easy. And I go, you know what? Zillow's estimate of your house is wrong 67% of the time, because it's an algorithm. I actually saw your house and woof, no maintenance for 30 years. Zillow's off.
Hey, I had a quick question. I've been wanting to ask this the whole show. You see 66, you think of Highway 66, but here is 626. Tell us a little bit behind that name.
So I was really ambitious when I first opened. And we were actually open from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I sat down there on the corner of 10th and M Street, and I counted how many cars went through the intersections by the time period. And then I learned that I could just call the city and they could have given me a car count.
Of course. Isn't that how it works sometimes?
Now you can just call up AI and they give you a count,
right? Right. I know. It is crazy what AI knows, though. It's absolutely crazy. Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you, Dean.
Yeah.
You're on basically 25th and O Street, right? 25th and P, so just a block north. Yep. And it's 6 and then TO6 Auto. Right. Webpage is at 6to6auto.com or
6to6autoservice.com.
6to6autoservice.com.
Right.
You are open 7 days a week, 6-5?
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, nice.
7:30 to 5:30. Because I realize I don't need to be there at 6 o'clock in the morning because nobody else is there.
I love that. Well, listen, thanks for joining us today. Jim, thank you for filling in for Travis. Appreciate that.
Gary.
You're welcome.
You,
appreciate it so much. And you've been listening to Inside Business, sponsored by Lincoln Coin and Bullion. Again, Dean, thanks for coming in, talking with us. Jim, loved having you here. Always have whenever you're on the show. Travis will be back next week, so you've had fair warning. Travis will be back next week for some more of his Travisisms. And thanks for making this part of your day. Stay tuned for Grow Lincoln.